So we are playing online for our final session of Atitlan Riders. We are playing on the Gauntlet Calendar, also known as the Gauntleteers, playtesting and playing all kind of games. Atitlan Riders is a coming-of-age Central American Fast Too Furious drama game. And oh, Michael has gone, but I'm sure he will be back. And so I welcome you all, and I would ask you to give us your name and your pronouns. So we have that already, and then I will talk a little bit more about what we do today. Diana.
Hi, I go by Diana Moon online, and I use the pronouns she, her, and my character is Citla Mina for short, Maria Alvarado.
Thank you very much. Asher.
I'm Asher, they, them pronouns, and my character is Julia Texacoy, and she uses she, her pronouns.
Thank you. Yeah, we can learn a little bit more about Julia and also Mina and what has happened last time soon. And we also wait for Michael to come back. Well, we don't have to wait for that because I can say something he is very much aware about because it's not his first session. We have the X card in the game, which shall also be used for mundane purposes. If you're just not happy with how the story... yeah, Michael is rebooting. That sounds good. So if you're just not happy how the story goes, also feel absolutely fine with going for a mild X card, so to say. And we, in terms of subject matter, I feel like that we brought some sexism in our last session that was quite prominent. Like that was already on the first session. Like somebody was not seen as male enough, for example. So I hope that is okay with everybody. It doesn't go too harsh. That's my feeling. If it goes, then yeah, you can raise your voice and object to that. And we can also find another way to challenge our characters easier, I would say. And racism is unavoidable in this setting because this is an indigenous community in a country which is run by Spanish descendants, and there is a middle class of Latinos in between, and it has suffered 500 years from colonialism. So although we all play indigenous characters, they also inherit this destiny and what it means until today. But well, our characters are working strongly to get over such bonds from the past. And yeah, we want to see what they are doing today in our last and final session. Last year, Asher was in one of the playtests, and we had a wonderful time with Julia already. So it's great to have you back, and it's great to see what you think about the second edition of the game, so to say. So the revised rule set. Okay, what we have are in our setup. Maybe that is something we should wait for Michael to come back. But I already take a look and to see what's going on. When you go to the character sheet, you see a tab called Our Setup. And in that, maybe it's worth sharing my screen with you for that. Because it also makes the recording interesting. And you see where I am. So it's helpful on all dimensions, I would say. So this is our setup. That's our way to put all the information about NPCs and families and what has been established like on one page. And we at character creation, we created 4 setting elements. The top of the volcano plays a role, and that we will definitely see today. We have Radio Voz Atitlan, that's the radio station in town. And that was already quite prominent last time. It's hurricane season, which means there's a lot of rain. Unpredictable rain, especially. And with the rain often come strong winds. And strong winds are important for Michael's character, for example. We will learn later. Yeah, the families, as you can see, Julia, the Takashoi family, the X is often in Tsutohil sh. The Takashoi family is, they are 3 mean sisters. Yeah, you can decide how closely you are related to them, if they are cousins or if you are directly from that family. The 3 mean sisters, they were picking on their brother, Pedro. Pedro was played by Sabine, but Sabine can't make it today, unfortunately. Yeah, and then there's Danny, and Danny has the perfect spot to test the plane from Michael's character. Okay, so what has changed, Asher? What might be important for you is that there's now an act structure to the game, and that is this tab, which means that the idea is that we interrupt play after everybody had like a scene. More or less, everybody had a scene, and we sit together and discuss what scenes we would like to see, and everybody can make a proposal which scene they would like to see with their character and who else is in there. So your character will be in there, but you can decide and discuss with the others what you would like to see. Put it in there. While you are playing, like when you're in another scene, you can easily make changes because everybody has access to the sheet. So when we step forward to the next scene and you think, well, it doesn't fit that much anymore, I change the location or I ask somebody else in there, then you're totally fine doing so. And then you will be able to have a completely different scene. We can also interrupt the act and discuss when something completely disappears from your radar or something new comes up. But usually it's up to you to just put it in there. Anytime tuk-tuk races can happen, that didn't change from the previous edition. So when there's a conflict, and we saw, for example, a conflict last time, then you can call for a tuk-tuk race, and there we go, and we decide. Well, Julia will win anyway. I don't know why we make races at all when Julia is around. Yeah, but that's the act structure. Michael, we were just introducing ourselves by saying pronouns and your name, so we know with whom we are playing. Can you introduce yourself?
Absolutely. I'm Michael Barford, and I use he, him.
Thank you. Okay, so Michael, you weren't around last time either, and Diana and I were, so we can tell you what happened. So what we saw last time was that we saw Mina and Marcus, who was played last week by Barry. They were in a classroom and had a quite intimate scene in Tsutohil while nobody around them understood what they were saying. And that was quite interesting. But
Yeah.
how unfortunately, somebody was there who understood.
Yeah, Mina was asked to help with the tourists in speaking the language, and Marcus thought it would be helpful to have interaction. So Mina decided to play up like selling pan dulce when she was actually selling herself technically, and and her and Marcus decided to get a little flirty. And unfortunately, the main DJ, I think it was, for La Voz de Atitlan was watching in the hallway and recording our intimate conversation, and he showed up because I believe he got suggested by Danny, was it? Just double checking. Diego, sorry, by Diego, to like give Marcus another chance in having his platform on the radio, and he's like, "Oh, you're just soliciting sex? I don't think we need this on the radio, but now I have it recorded." And Mina got totally pissed off and like basically confronted him, and managed to get the tape back to protect Marcus because she felt really bad that she put Marcus in this situation. And that resulted in there being a slight smear campaign on the radio about, oh, our city is too loose. We have too many prostitutes around. We're supposed to be this up-and-coming city for tourists. We have to stop it, which led Mina to go, oh shit, I've made things worse.
Yeah, somehow you did, and for one person especially, and that was Uncle Ricardo's daughter. No, it was Alejandro's daughter. Yeah, the radio boss sent his daughter Marta to a purity ritual on top of the volcano. Yeah, and that is possibly something we can pursue today, what is going to happen there. And yeah, there's a wannabe shaman, Temok, and who's running this purity rituals on top of the volcano. And yeah, was it Amaya, Michael, your character, and Diana's character, Mina, who was sometimes meet on the top of the volcano? Yeah, so it might make sense that the two of you are confronting somebody there, if you're interested in pursuing that part. Well, Amaya is with us today again, which means finally we can possibly see a plane. Yeah. So that is your secret project, right, Amaya?
That's correct. I'm hoping it will be, at least.
Yeah, that would be so interesting to see. However, we also established that you have somebody to convince before you can take off with your plane, and that is possibly a relative of Julia, if I see that correctly. So that could bring the two of you together. Like, let's move over to the setup. It's Danny Takashoy who has the greatest spot to test the plane. However, they do illegal business, and they don't want to attract too many people to your flight tests. Maybe you can get Julia on board on getting this done. Yeah, is that something you might be interested in?
Absolutely, for sure. Well, I'll have to see how Julia feels about that.
Cool. That sounds good. And then let's go back here again. So the delivery service is not around today. And that was Brian's character. Instead, we have Julia back. So Julia, how is your laundry business doing? Is it, last time we established that you were doing pretty great, right?
Right. But last time we also established this whole like environmentalism plot. So I think I'm leaning into that also. Because I checked my job was the lake and farm one. I didn't find like a delivery job.
Yeah. Which could be possibly nicely tied back if you take over the radio station somehow. Then we could make something with this. I mean, the laundry service here has a laundry in the lake has a pretty bad reputation that they use so much soap that cyanobacteria are growing, and the lake could turn, which would destroy like tourism in an instance and also make life much harder here at the lake. So coming up with a plan to change the habit of a town of 50,000 people not using so much soap anymore in the lake, that can be tough, especially because washing laundries together is for the women in town a perfect opportunity to exchange information and to act in solidarity and to see if everybody's doing well. So just taking it away and replacing it with like laundry machines would actually destroy a very important social network in town. And so those who are aware of that could be interested in finding something new, something in which this could transform if you don't wash in the lake anymore. Okay. I think we should also, because Michael is just back and didn't play that much at all in the first session, and Asher is new, we should also like quickly go over the idea of the moves and what the game is actually doing. So there are, when you go to the tab with the moves, the basic moves are all about expressing yourself, like connecting to the world. There are just 4 basic moves, and then there's one default move if whatever you do is not fitting into one of the 4 basic moves. And each basic move is connected to one of the stats, and is you making yourself in a certain way vulnerable or complicate your connection to the world. Like you can get closer to somebody with corazon, or you can fit in or stand up. That's the trying to be part of a community, or yeah, like separating yourself from the community. You can rock out. This is like going fully into your passion. Prayers, drugs, meditation, going fast on your motorbike, whatever. And you can ride along, and that is create something, do something creative, complete a plan. These are the 4 basic moves, and you strive for getting to roll these basic moves at the end of a scene. So whatever you do, you try to find a way to use at the end of the scene one of the moves. There are also moves which directly go through your influence and your emotions, but I think that is something I can remind you of, and you don't have to worry too much about this. What you will do through the moves is you get influence over others, and they get influence over you. And the game wants you to have mutual influence. So they over you, you over them. And when you have such a pair, then you can find a scene to resolve influence. And that brings you one step forward towards writing your character's story to an end. So when you resolve influence 3 times, actually, you could end your character's story anytime, or you can continue playing until you find something. The other important thing is unforgettables. Unforgettables are the fun part where you create the stuff you will never forget, no matter how old you get from your youth. Your unforgettable memories. Before you pick the dice to roll, you say, I want to make this unforgettable. You use one of the unforgettables you have. You start with 1. So you just pick one unforgettable now. They come in 4 flavors. Pick them on your character sheet. And it doesn't change the result of the roll, so it could still go completely bad for you. But whatever happens, you take over the fiction and say how it goes, and it will stay with you, and you can write down a little memory. This is something which can later help you to find a happy ending for your character, the more unforgettables you use. And you get them when you join tuk-tuk races. So this is how to get more unforgettables in the game. Okay, that's all what I wanted to tell you. Emotions are also there, but you just play them out. Sometimes you have to pick them, and if you have them, continue play with them. There isn't an easy way to get rid of them. Okay, then let's move over to the act structure. Let's build an act together, a scene for each of you, and then we take already a little break that we all have a moment to recover from so much info. Okay.
There aren't any playbook moves anymore? I don't have to pick anything?
No playbook moves anymore. What you need to pick are the truths you have at the beginning. There are 4 truths, and that is somehow a guideline to create a unique character.
Okay.
But character moves are gone. Yeah, you didn't miss anything. Okay. So I can also define a scene, and it doesn't have to contain any characters. So I would like to create an opening scene for us, which we could use. So I would put a 1 in here. So this will be our first scene, if you don't mind.
You got your keyboard working again?
No, it's copy paste from a notepad.
I was like, oh, you could do a 1 now.
It's complicated, yes. Yeah. I can't do one still, no. But copy pasting works, yeah. Yeah. But lots of the biggest problem is when you need to type passwords and you can't copy paste into the password field for security reasons. Then I'm lost. Yeah. Then I need to switch to mobile or something. Okay, my opening kind of scene would be I think I would like to connect. Alejandro is currently our main villain, it seems. We have the mayor's wife, but she somehow moved out of interest. Like we didn't, because that was Marcus and Sabine's villains somehow, right? So I see strongly that Alejandro is there, and the radio guy. And the radio guy for sure needs to be connected with Danny. And Danny is the one who has the field where the plane ride could happen. Asher, do you have an opinion if Danny is your father or brother or uncle or something?
Yeah, I was thinking like cousin or uncle or something.
Let's make it uncle then.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Then I would say let's. I create a scene for us in which Alejandro also can create some pressure on Uncle Danny.
I like the idea of trying to convince Danny. I don't know. Who's the person at the plane? To take photos of it.
Yeah.
So we can maybe get like a photo of the lake and of the volcano to see like what's there. And show people. That seems to be a common theme for me, is like getting evidence and showing it to people.
Absolutely. Okay, yeah. And my idea for the opening scene is that the three of you are at the laundry bay just in our very first scene 2 weeks ago. But this time you just describe what you are doing there. We can't hear what you are saying. You might have fun and jokes there or have a disagreement or whatever. It's the three of you. We don't hear what you are saying, but we only hear the two men talking about you. And I like that kind of pressure. Yeah, this kind of dominance watching over you. I hope you like it too. Okay. And Michael, do you have an idea for where you see Amaya?
I was thinking of having some kind of scene where the three of us are discussing the soap issue and how we might bring about change, how we each feel about it, I just think that's an interesting idea to just have a chat about. So it could be like after that initial scene, zooming in on us and hearing us speak, or it could be us talking with each other afterwards in a different setting. Maybe like at the laundromat or something like that.
That sounds great, yeah.
I'd love some feedback from Asher on where you think a good setting for that might be.
Well, we already have a scene at the laundromat, so maybe somewhere else. Yeah, I was also doing like the laundry delivery part, so maybe at like the delivery depot or whatever, where all the cars and stuff are, or the little bikes to go deliver laundry.
Yeah, there's the delivery service of Diego was established last time, so you could perfectly be on the bikes from him when he has to give up his business. Yeah. Then I actually very much like the double-floored nature of this scene when the men are talking and thinking they have dominance over you because they look down on you. If you meet on the bikes afterwards and looking again down on whatever they are doing, sounds good. So what about meeting at the cemetery and after some delivery? Because there are also houses close by to the cemetery, and from there you can watch over the whole town. Yeah, okay. And cemetery, that's great, yeah. No problem. Wow. And Asher, do you have already an idea? Or are you open for suggestions?
I'm open for suggestions.
Well, I need to see a plane at least
Yeah,
being
that's what
tested.
I'm maybe like mounting a camera to the plane to try to get pictures of stuff.
Yeah. Advertisement. Last time you were on the radio, maybe this time you want to have like a big
Trying
piece
to
of...
convince Amaya to put sponsorships on their plane.
I really like the idea of like Amaya having to make compromises in order to get this plane off the ground, so yeah, if that has to be, in order to appease Uncle Danny, or if it's in order to, work with the radio station, anything like that could be cool.
Yeah, so
do we know what Danny does?
Something illegal. I'm not quite sure what. The Takashoy family. I think that they've had connections with cannabis. But I think maybe they grow it, but the Sohuels sell it. There's some stuff there. But they're considered weirdos, so they may have discovered some,
Maybe Danny's growing something other than cannabis up there. Maybe cannabis is the front.
Right. Don't look at our ayahuasca vines in the background or whatever, maybe something like that.
Here in the cloud forests have some really rare trees which are protected, and so wood from illegal woodchucking.
That could work. They could be selling it to like Pottery Barn or something as like, here's this rare wood furniture.
And marijuana is just the cover story.
And marijuana is the cover story. Yeah, somehow. Yeah. Well, I think that would work also without the marijuana cover story.
That's why Pedro was doing so well, because he actually cared about the weed. He
Yes.
made quality weed.
Wood poaching. Ah, yeah, that's the word. Thank you. Okay, yeah, and I mean, I would like to see the plane on the field. So, yeah,
I mean, that's kind of what I was thinking. Hopefully, for a cool final scene is like,
Yeah.
rotors starting up and yeah.
Cool. Okay, yeah, let's
I think the order that it's in could be a good order
Yeah.
of the act too.
Perfect. Yeah, that sounds good. And the ritual is in the middle of the night. Does that make sense?
That would make sense, yeah. Like, since this is a special purity ritual and all that.
Yeah. Okay. Then let's take a 5 minutes break and meet at 52 again. Sounds good? Okay. Looking forward to our scenes. See you. Oh, I hear about tuk-tuks. I need to have a look. Yeah. There it is again. Michael, you might have not seen that, but last time I shared some photos of the setting elements we created. Put it in the chat, just in case you have time to look at it in between. Yeah, the info in there is just for the general game, so it doesn't apply to our sessions. But I used the opportunity to complete these. Seems we are complete. Are you ready to enter the scene? Then, so what I would ask from you in this scene is that you describe what we can see, what your characters are doing there down at the laundry bay. Well, but I'm only allowed to talk in the scene. So we might see your lips moving, but we actually can't hear what you are saying. Yeah, can you all give us a snapshot in what you're saying? Mina, how is Mina looking this time? Again?
After the events of everything that happened last time, and Pedro being put out of commission for a while, she and Diego's betrayal, she's a little bit, surprisingly, a little bit more conservative dressed instead of being in the bikini outfit that she was last time. It's because it's still hurricane season, so it's still windy, so she's still gonna get dirty. So she's more of in a one-piece short swimsuit and shorts that she doesn't mind getting dirty as she's cleaning, and she's reserved. Like, she's not really like, she smiled at everybody, like gave the usual like hellos, but just was more focused on getting her clothes done, and she's not even like going to solicit offers for anybody or to see if there's like any new clients to be reaching out to. So, but like if anyone comes up to her to talk to her, she will. She just is not actively like going out like last time to chat and kind of thing.
Thank you. And Julia, how can we see you from far away at the laundry bay?
I think I'm just surveying the scene, right? Like seeing how people are doing their laundry, I guess. Maybe it's just like walking around the perimeter.
How are you dressed?
I'm imagining like a sundress, like something lighter, with maybe like another layer under that, right? So the wind can like blow the outside around, but I'm still a little warm.
Okay. And Amaya, how do we perceive you?
I think I've been doing a lot of work on the plane lately, so I'm wearing like a men's jumpsuit, like a utility, like a blue one-piece suit. Has lots of like oil marks and stains and things like that on it. And I've probably got like a bandana tied around my forehead too.
All right. And there are Danny and Alejandro standing there. They are in a nice pavilion, and they had a barbecue up there. And before, without letting anybody know too much about it, they also had a few beers. Because they are men, they can drink, they can afford to do this. there's a cantina not far away. Nobody can see when you go in there. When they get out, they're relatively drunk. But in contrast to the poor people who can't help themselves, they know how to stop after a few beers. Well, at least they think they can stop, because you would smell the booze from their face, and they shouldn't drive anymore now. Hopefully there's no tuk-tuk race soon. And you see, like, especially Alejandro is looking down there. And look, girls will be girls, huh? Isn't that your niece, Julia? The one with her own business? What do you think about this? And since I don't want to have a dialogue between myself, I will continue just talking as Alejandro, and we can imagine, just from looking at his face, that Uncle Danny is not super convinced by everything what this Alejandro is saying, but he tries to keep himself together. Yeah. And Alejandro continues and looks at Amaya. Says, "Oh, what a beautiful outfit! Yeah, with nothing under it, I would even appreciate it. But like this, oh my God, which man would ever want her? A woman like this. Well, not to talk about this one. Have you heard about her? Oh my God, like, well." But you see, like, at that moment when Alejandro is talking about Mina, he is actually, like, skipping a little bit back, as if she is still hitting him in his face every time he just sees her. And he's just like, oh, one day I will ship her personally on a cayuco to the other side of the lake, to San Marcos, to all the hippies down there. There she could stay. There she could live her life. I mean, she doesn't have to bother people like us here in town, right? But you see him getting nervous just on the thought of being confronted by Mina again. I think he's still not over the fact when she got, like, with just his straightforwardness, the tape he recorded last time. Oh. Danny, whatever happens, I want you, with these three, I want you to report to me. And you know what we discussed, like, over at the cantina. I want to see them getting down. I want this to be a lesson to everybody here in town. What happens when you just think you're better than everybody else? Okay. And I call this a scene. However, I like if any of you feels like this could be a good moment, and I'm thinking of Mina, to resolve influence with, you have like an influence with Diego, and I don't know if you, for example, could imagine like resolving that influence with Diego. I'm not sure, or anything, or if you see like the way you behave could lead to a move here just by the two guys looking down on you.
Yeah.
I would definitely like to see you rolling dice.
I'm just reading over the influence information. Or freeing themselves. Yeah, I think she's like, because we're both influencing each other. She still feels rather influenced from all his radio talk and everything, and wondering if he had any influence over. Sorry, I think it took her a couple of days to like really recover from that betrayal with the tuk-tuk race. So, resolve influence. Tell others how that changes your character and merge two truths into one. Let me see. Let me remind myself what my truths were.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is something we now like retroactively bring into play, that the moment at the laundry bay together with your friends is finally resolving this for you.
Yeah.
The betrayal. Yeah, because Asher and Michael, you might not know, but Diego, who was played by Barry last time, at the very end of the tuk-tuk race, he won the tuk-tuk race and betrayed all his friends and siding with the mayor's wife, going for authority on the evil side.
Because he didn't want to, because he was head of the union of the delivery, and he didn't want to lose that sway. Meanwhile, like Mina had been getting close to Dan because she was asking for advice on how to make like a prostitutes union. And so they had gotten close, and then that happened. And she cared more about Pedro, of course, than Diego. So okay, I think I could resolve or combine. Sorry, tabs. I think I can combine two truths, merge two truths into one, with question everything, yourself included, and nothing can be taken as granted. Because she took her friendship and like trust in Diego for granted, basically.
Cool. Yeah.
So what do I do? Cross out? Okay.
Yeah, just delete two truths and write a new one in the emerged truth cell. And you can draw something on your tuk-tuk representing what has happened.
Okay.
But you can also do this like in between the acts, or
Right,
while
yeah.
you're not in a scene. Just take your time.
Okay, but yeah, so that's how I'm gonna. And do I just uncheck the influence on Diego then?
Yeah, and you just completely delete the line with Diego. Yeah.
Okay.
It's resolved now, both directions. Yeah. Thank you for bringing this a little bit of rules implementation in here in this scene. It was, I admit, a little bit forced, but I hope you don't mind too much. And because now I would like to hear what the three of you discuss when you are finally on top of town up there. Michael, this is the scene you proposed. So how does it look like where the three of you meet?
So I think we're probably a little tired and a little sore from laundry, even though it's something that we do a lot, it's still a strenuous activity. So we're sort of taking a break up here. I think we've probably gotten like some ice cream or like popsicles or something from a local vendor, and we're just taking a quick break before we go on with the rest of our day. Finishing up the loose threads of our previous conversation at the bay. And I don't know to what lengths these things would be considered rude, as far as like, are we sitting on tombstones? Are there benches here? Especially if it's maybe an older tombstone that's not named or something, like that might just be up to the individual. But
if I may suggest, we probably if we've done this a couple of times, we probably rotated from different gravestones, and maybe we're sitting on one of Mina's families, like not the gravestone itself, but like the rest of it, because that's what our family does. Is when we go visit, we sit down. We might sometimes have a picnic there and eat. And so that's I don't know how common that is outside of Latino families, but that's what we do.
That is common.
So yeah,
Like the gravestones are houses, and you just put inside into boxes. So it's overground. So you're sitting on a little house, which is like has a flat roof. And
yeah, there's that, or if you just have the flat gravestone, then you just sit on the grass like below it, where the body technically would be, if you want to be. But yeah, and we would just like sit and usually like either give an offering to like a flower or something. So we could be just sitting around doing that.
Nice.
Very
Yeah.
good.
I was also thinking of tying it into the hurricane season, because if it's raining, maybe if we go up higher here, that would help. So it's not all flooded like it would be down near the lake.
Good idea.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
So a picnic in a storm, I think it would look something like I was gonna say under a tree, but that's not necessarily always where you want to hang out during a storm. Um, I'm thinking of what this like uh, cemetery may look like, and I think that there may at one part near this plot there's like a plinth or a large like kind of stone standing, and I think we might be sort of like in the shadow of it, kind of with the wind and the rain being pushed in one direction. We can kind of stand around it and huddle together a bit and finish our ice cream.
Cool. Yeah. That sounds good. Yeah. Wind and rain cleans the air and also helps to clean the lake. But when the dry season comes back, the cyanobacteria will flourish again. And maybe this will be the last year the lake is actually usable. So that seems to be worrying for you. And Julia has an opinion about this, right?
I do. That we need to change how things are done.
It's hard to convince people to go stray away from tradition, though.
I know that.
It would make sense to, do laundry inside a place instead of having to force ourselves to get sick practically every time when it's hurricane season. But at the same time, it'll be a lot harder. I don't know. I like your business. It may convince men to be a little bit more willing to do the laundry if they're protected from the elements.
That's true. Yeah, but then we wouldn't have laundry as a social occasion, right? I think a lot of women enjoy it, like you said.
But I don't want us to lose the lake either. What do you think, Amaya?
I mean, I feel like technology and progress, it's all for the greater benefit, but I'm worried that all of the aunts and cousins are just going to be bickering about any kind of change. So, I mean, it's very brave of you to try to stir the pot, but I don't know if you're going to find a lot of support. Certainly not from my mom. Maybe you should just do it. And if it fails, but at least you tried. And then if the lake turns, well, I don't know.
Yeah, I think you have a point there. The success here would be just using less soap, right? So if you have some people using machines and some people using the lake, that's still an improvement.
I don't know. No matter what, if you try to bring in something new or something different, you're going to end up with a target painted on your back.
That's for sure. But I mean, you have my support. I could try to convince the other workers to, use your business a little bit more often. They might be I mean, a lot of us gets talked upon in the ladies group anyways down at the lake. It'd be nice to not have to keep our guards up all the time. It could become a new safe space.
Yeah, an even safer space. That's a great idea. So, yeah, I think setting an example is good. Just having the business as the first example of doing laundry indoors.
And I think from town, because the wind direction has changed, you suddenly hear that there's a big stage built up in the rain in the center, and they have like a huge sound system from an evangelical church in town. And the pastor is just on stage and screaming into the microphone about God and how much he loves God and how much he wants like everybody to find his way to God. And then he talks about like homosexuals and that this is curable. And then he talks about like women being under their husbands and their husbands' responsibility for their families and have to listen. And at that moment, a big flash comes down and the whole town loses electricity. And finally, the pastor stops talking and interrupting your conversation because the sound system stopped working.
I think Mina like stands up and starts clapping, and we're like, "Yay! God listened! Listen to my prayers."
Good that nobody can hear you, except for your friends. Yeah, so I would like to see some dice rolling at the very end. If you have a feeling that you did something towards somebody else, which could like cause like influence and getting in touch with somebody, I think you were all like, but you were also getting closer. I especially had with Amaya that she was opening very much when she talked about having a target on her back. That sounded very intimate. But yeah, then again, you're also riding along, you're making plans, and maybe you could just split it up between the three of you.
I definitely feel like I was moving for getting closer. I mean, I think the things I was talking about, it was pretty transparent that I was also talking about myself and my own feelings. I don't think that was being obfuscated very much. So at least to the two of you, you would know I was sharing some of my own insecurities, I think, there, or fears. So yeah, I'm definitely trying to get closer.
To whom, especially?
I think I see both of these women as innovators and people who are trying to do something different. And so I think I would say either to you, like getting closer to you, or getting closer to progress.
Yeah.
But I don't know which of those you think would be more fitting, Gerrit.
I think you open up to both of them. So in that sense, I would say, let's see how the roll goes. And then you might need to pick one who gets influence over you.
Mm.
And maybe it is also up to the others if they want to say, hey, I think it's more about me than about the other.
Sure.
But let's first fix what is Mina thinking? Has Mina gone to a standing up against?
Yeah, I think that's what I was going closer to, was like helping standing up against like the traditionalism that is the way we do laundry now at the same time, and agreeing. And then of course going against the pastors and all that. And she's also thinking about everything like she's going through right now, and it had agreed with Amaya excuse me, about like how frustrating it is to always have a target and such. So yeah, standing up.
Standing up. Cool. Then describe how you differ from what is expected from you. I think you did that already in everything you said. For that, then
Yeah.
it's then I would just ask Julia, what do you think? What would you roll for? Do you have?
Yeah, I think mine is riding along because this is my vision to clean up the lake, and we're discussing it and making a plan. That seems like action.
And that move asks you to reveal what could frustrate you most if it goes wrong.
It seems like something already happened, right, with the pastor. Like the town's against this idea, so like we said, that'll paint a target on me.
All right, yeah. Then you can roll with the directly relaxed Quetzal or with physical dice. That's up to you.
Rolling chat.
Yeah.
Is it
I can.
directly relaxed?
Yeah, I can directly relaxed Quetzal, but I can also post it again for you. It's here.
I'll do.
I got a 7, just barely.
Do I add something to this? Let's see. Manos.
Manos, you can add a 7. Okay.
I have 1
7.
manos.
The 7, you just pick 1 from the list.
Okay.
I rolled physical dice and got a 6 total.
6 total. That's a miss, which means I can still pick 1 for you. And since I forgot to tell you, you can still retroactively say you want to make something unforgettable here, just in case. You all have 1 unforgettable. You just need to pick the flavor first, and then in any time you can use that.
I would love to use an unforgettable.
So I think with mine, I just still feel myself, like despite some of the insecurity.
Yeah. So you don't need to pick an emotion?
No, not yet.
I rolled a 12.
Julia is back. So you can pick 2 from the list. Since you rolled for the first time, the first option on each of these moves is that you don't need to check an emotion. Then there are 2 to get influence and to be influenced. And the fourth is a separate scene you can create at the end of the act.
So when do we get more unforgettables?
When you join a tuk-tuk race.
Okay. So does that mean I get a second unforgettable since I joined one last?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like I got influence over Mina. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, I see that.
Cool. Yeah, you have a plan. Somebody is impressed.
Yeah, and then I'll just do the not checking off an emotion. I don't see the emotions on the sheet though.
They are.
Oh,
They're
that's
right next to the stats.
stats. Yeah.
Yeah, right next to the stats. Yeah. There you can check them off. And the second option you pick, Julia?
Oh, not to mark an emotion. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Okay. Then, Amaya, you missed your roll, but you made it unforgettable, right?
Yeah, I think that there were, with the sort of colorful setting and the wind and the rain, and then tying in this like freak accident with this sermon and the power outage, it felt very unforgettable. But I think the flavor I went with was honest, because I think that there was a moment of honesty that we kind of shared with each other. So
I agree.
I say I'm doing that, and that means then that I succeed.
The unforgettable doesn't change the dice result. You still fail, but in contrast to what the move says, it's you taking over the fiction, and you can freely describe and making this truly unforgettable. It's up to you to show how much or why you will remember that in 20 years, this moment. And yeah, you already gave us a little bit of fiction, but you can exaggerate, you can go into this, you can make this your moment. And I just need to pick one for you. And I would say you opened yourself up.
Okay.
And so somebody gains influence over you. And I would even go so far and say both of the others gain influence over you.
And now I
So-
will narrate how I regret that instead of having you narrate how I regret that. Is that right?
Yeah, it is a miss. So it somehow goes wrong. It doesn't mean directly regretting it, but somehow it is more than what you expected, what you wanted to do.
I think that ultimately this is going to be the reason why this is so memorable is because it's foreshadowing like the town turning against me. I think that my hope with this plane was that, you know, it wouldn't be a big story in town and nobody would hear about it and nobody would be talking about Amaya and her plane. But now I think that somehow it's going to become a bigger story. And I'm going to be thinking back on that moment in the cemetery of how, like, you know, getting a target painted on your back, and that's exactly what's going to happen to me. Does that work? Is that a
Sounds
functional
great.
use? Okay.
It
Sounds
is
good.
totally functional.
You got a target painted on your plane.
Yes, literally. Well, yeah, so I put into your influence sheets, you can write both names of your companions in your influence column, and they have influence over you. So it's Amaya and it's Mina having influence over you. Did you see that where I did this? Yeah. So good. And if somebody already had influence over you, then in that case, that person can immediately act on influence. That's like if you already have influence over somebody and you get it again, you can ask them a question about their true self or make a proposal to them for profound action, or just tell them what you think about it, like having this when you add acting on influence. Let them feel it. So I don't know. I think Julia had already influence over Amaya, or that came afterwards? That came afterwards, right? That was all right. Good. Then we're not having such a case, and we'll continue with our acts. And the next is in the night, on the top of the volcano with Amaya and Mina. And you might stumble into a ritual which is not going as expected. Is that fine for you if we do that at the end of the scene? So
Yeah.
you're first starting on your own? Cool.
So I figure like maybe it was up to Amaya like what it was that maybe she was away for a few days when this with the flooding and the whole thing with Pedro happened. And so we agreed to meet up and maybe we instead of usually we meet at the top, but maybe we meet on the way to like, oh, we were both like kind of running late and everything. And basically it is Mina wanting to tell Maya what's gone with Pedro and like that whole thing to catch her up, and she didn't feel like safe doing it anywhere else but their secret spot. And 1 second, I gotta blow my nose.
Link to the tuk-tuks.
Sorry. So yeah, so does that sound good, Amaya? That we meet up on the way up. So I think and Mina's dressed because it's colder, she's not stupid. She's gonna dress warmly because it's nighttime and everything, and the hurricanes and everything. But so she's dressed warmly, but she's wearing a whole mass of different type of colors and everything, and she still has her hair done, even though it's gonna get ruined by the end of the night. And makeup or whatever, as almost as if she had just come from a client, but actually she hasn't had a client in a while. And so she just, as soon as she sees Amaya, she just goes into it and being like, I mean, the tuk-tuk races are always fun, and I usually do really well. And I was pretty smart in going through. I went through the buildings because the wind was just terrible. But Pedro, he just likes to go head on, and he was so close. And Marcus, oh, such a dear, actually rammed the wife off the road. It was great. Luckily, he was okay, but Pedro just skidded and smashed into something, I don't know, and when I thought Diego won for us to help close the floodgates so we wouldn't lose Pedro's whole farm, and he sides with the wife, that bitch, you know? But Pedro, with the whole losing, his livelihood, right, and the crash was pretty bad. I mean, they decided to send him off to, a hospital in the bigger city. So that's why he's not around. But oh, you missed it, Amaya.
Well, I hope that this doesn't sound painful, but are you really that surprised?
With Pedro or with Diego?
With men.
True.
All they want is to take, take, take. They don't do anything with their own hands. They're always asking us to wash their laundry for them, to solve their problems, and then they stand up under the pavilion and laugh at us and look at us like we're nothing. And
we don't know what they're doing.
Well, I mean, I understand your feelings, but I don't know. Haven't you interacted with enough men to know that you prefer dealing with women? Isn't that what you do?
I deal with women. I deal with people who don't want to be either. But yeah, I mean, men who are all machismo this and machismo that, I can't. Pedro was the closest, I guess.
Well, they're a necessary evil sometimes. But I don't know. I try to do as much as I can to, I don't know, sever those chains, cut those ties.
That's why I like you. And Mina like slings an arm around her as we continue walking up. Yeah, I mean, if I could deal with less men on a daily basis, that'd be fantastic. But unfortunately, the men, they make the money. They don't expect us women to make the money. And even though I do offer discounts and such for women who can't afford it and are just afraid, still, it's a job. The deliveries, the tuk-tuk stuff doesn't make as much as it used to.
Yeah. Well, I don't mean to discount.
Is there something on your mind? Is there a man I need to go confront? Because I'll do it. I ain't afraid of any of them. I don't care what they say about me.
I guess I don't understand why everyone tries to tell us how to be, and who we are and who we should be, and that's why I always respected Marcus as someone who wouldn't let anyone tell them who they were. And I don't know. I miss them.
Yeah. I hope they say they'll be back, but you got to go where the money is. And with all the craziness that's going on here and this stupid hurricane lasting, what, weeks now?
Well, I'm not going to let it stop me.
How is the plane going?
Good. I say very suspiciously.
But I thought last I heard you found a place. Have you had a chance to check it out yet?
Well, ironically enough, there are strings attached.
Of course. Because there's men attached, right?
Well, like you say, they're unavoidable.
At least we can avoid them tonight.
And maybe that's the sort of final dialogue that we have. But I'm sure that there's the camera shot or whatever. There's this is closer to the evening, so the stars are probably out, and we're up here above the cloud line, and so it's even more clear. And I think we're silently pointing out constellations and things like that.
And Mina is all snuggled up next to Amaya, by the way.
Yeah, lots of physical intimacy for sure.
Yeah. Very very casual and comfortable. I think it's the first time in a while that Mina's had a chance to really let it all out.
Yeah, and I think that you're probably one of the only people that I feel comfortable expressing myself in that way with. So, just a very pleasant moment here at the end. And then, Gerrit ritual. I don't know.
Yeah, the ritual come. I would put it in the aftermath. Or you have a ritual in mind for yourself as well here, if that happens. But rules wise, I see that Mina has already influence over Amaya, and in that case, you can, without rolling dice, you can act on influence, which means when you express the influence you have over somebody, and you did that pretty a lot, quite a lot in this discussion. You can ask them a question about their true self. And if they answer to your satisfaction, they can also influence over you, which means you then have mutual influence and can resolve it. And I would say that would be one way. You could also rock out together and let one of you roll rocking out and go on a ritual there on top of the volcano. But I find it very much that the way you discussed this was that you used this already intimate relationship you have, and you acted on influence here.
Yeah, I think since I have the influence over Amaya and everything, and I think Mina senses the tension that Maya has, and it's not with her, obviously, it's with all different things, and Mina kind of breaks her own personal rules, and so because she does like Amaya and everything, she likes everybody, and where is it? So make a proposal to them for profound action. I mean, the top of the mountain or top of the volcano is famous for maturity rituals for a reason. So without using words, she pretty much kind of influence. Do you want to have a good time? And she does it in such a way where not Mina, where Amaya should feel comfortable enough to if she really doesn't want to, either because the place or whatever, has the full ability to be no, and Mina be okay. But yeah.
Okay. Well, I think it sounds to me like Mina's coming to some of these conclusions and coming to this proposal. It's not from left field. this discussion we've been having is very queer.
Yes.
So I think that it's totally natural to suggest that. And I think that definitely Amaya is going to follow along. I think this is something that she's unfamiliar with, but you're someone that she's comfortable with. So it's sort of a guided process, but
yeah, for sure. But like it's like a break in like the
in a
sea,
cool way.
like yeah, it's like a break in like the bad weather and the beautiful stars are out and everything. Perfect time.
Yeah, love it.
And then the stupid purity ritual.
Yeah, I like that
it all
contrast.
gets interrupted. Yes. And it all gets interrupted because something else is happening on the volcano or somewhere close by. So I would say that Amaya fulfilled your proposal to your satisfaction. That means Amaya gets influence over you, which means the two of you have mutual influence over each other, and you can resolve that any time. And which would mean that your character progresses once more. But we can do that in another scene. Now we have just established it, that you are this tightly connected. And now the cave where Temuk is doing his stuff, there's a loud scream coming from there. And you would say this must be Marta who is screaming. Alejandro's daughter, Alejandro the radio star's daughter, is screaming, and she doesn't stop. It's loud. It's like a siren. Something is going wrong there. You hear shoutings of men, and you see blood on her face, on Marta's face, while she is running down the steep hills. And these are lava rocks everywhere. She could fall there and die if nothing happens, if nobody is rescuing her. And the men are after her and hunting her and try to stop her from running down into town. And I would say, if you don't mind, we interrupt the act here and go for a tuk-tuk race.
Yes.
And Julia can for sure join this race as well. And what we need to see is who can catch Marta while she is on her way into town, and make a decision. So what the race is about is who will catch Marta and can then decide what happens next. Who wins the race can make a decision here. Sounds good?
Yes. Very good.
Very good. Any changes are happily integrated. However, we first need a tuk-tuk template. We have the one from last time, but I would I create a new template for us, and that takes a second because I don't have the link with me at the moment. I think we could use the one from last time and just restore it. I don't have it neither. I have it here. Link to the racing sheet, and then I make a copy and then I invite you. We can just make it directly in there. You put your names in there. I don't know. I make a copy. I have the time. Okay. Here's the link. We just need to update the details in there. And if you don't mind, I share the screen for this. All right. Maya gets a slot as well. Good. Okay. So first of all, we need to find out, why is Julia joining this race? How did you hear about it? Is it a cell phone call? Is somebody calling you? Or how comes you're in here as well? Or were you by chance nearby, cruising around by night in your secret tuk-tuk identity? Or not so secret?
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, maybe I'm just cruising around and see someone running through the forest, and I've heard rumors about something happening at the volcano, so I'm gonna go investigate also.
Okay, yeah, cool. Then, what happens at the beginning of a tuk-tuk race always is that you need to prepare for the race. You there is a move for that, and that is called the prepare for tuk-tuk racing. When you join a tuk-tuk race, describe how you prepare for the race and roll with the stat closest to your description. So then I ask Mina first, how do you prepare for this? It can be magical realism already, so you don't have to be constrained by reality. This is magic reality.
1 second. I'm trying to figure out if it's my blood rushing or emotions. I think I'm gonna go with loco, because yeah, we got interrupted in the middle of an act. There was a woman screaming in peril, and a lot of men chasing. So, I think because of the weather and everything, like I always park the tuk-tuks, or at least my tuk-tuk, halfway between the volcano top and the bottom, just in case there's a landslide or something, or the very quiet sleeping volcano decides to erupt. Gotta have a quick getaway. So she would have given Amaya a surprise worried look before just almost wordlessly getting quickly as dressed as possible and just rushing to the tuk-tuk. And yeah, her blood is completely rushing and is just working on pure adrenaline and thinking, and it kind of evokes all the times that she's had to protect some of her coworkers in situations, and it's almost like that kind of mindset that she's in.
Okay, cool. Then pick the dice and roll 2d6 plus the respective stat.
Okay. All these tabs. 14. Yes.
Yes. Wow. Okay. You start with 2 flow. You are well prepared for this race.
Yay.
Yippee! That looks so good. Okay, Julia, how do you prepare for this race? Not at all, right?
I think it's loco too, just to keep my eye out, right? I see this thing moving through the forest, so I need to, be able to see it. I'm trying to follow this, so I have to get my blood pumping to go after it.
All right, then roll.
Got 6, 7, 8. Plus 1 is 9.
Cool. Okay. Let's. You start with 1 flow, so you somehow make it to follow the traces, and Amaya is in the same position as Mina. How is Amaya doing?
Yeah, I think that I'm trying to get my feet on the ground, so to speak. I was a little bit out on cloud 9, and now I'm trying to sort of clear my head. So I think I'm going to be rolling with Faye. Trying to get my mind clear. Oh, and I got a 12.
Amazing. So how is your mind so clear? Does it have anything to do with the ritual? Your ritual with Mina?
Absolutely. We had our own purity ritual for sure. Purifying, I think that I had a lot of doubt and fears about things, and this has purified my mind and my purpose. So I'm able to sort of shift gears very quickly. Jump in my tuk-tuk, which was fantastically nearby. And I'm going to get onto the racetrack.
And so you start with 2 flow.
Yes.
And NPCs always just start with 1 flow. And Timuk and Alejandro are in 1 tuk-tuk, and Alejandro is screaming and saying, "Let's get her, get her! She should not get down. She will talk to her parents. To her mother, I mean, especially. I'm the father." Yeah. So that's your problem, Timuk.
Or are you?
Or are you? Exactly. Who knows? We will learn from the winner. So, Mina, you are the first one. You can describe an obstacle for us, and then you pick 2 other people. One is championed in this situation, and one is troubled by the situation. You don't have to define why, and you could if you have already an idea. But after you describe the obstacle, everybody rolls 1d6, and the championed player adds 1 to their roll, and the troubled one subtract 1 from their roll. That's all what we need. So,
And I can't choose the NPC, right?
you can choose the NPC.
Oh, okay.
Give them -1 every time. Yeah, this game is strongly in favor of the player characters if they are keeping together.
Okay, so this roll.
Last time, that doesn't mean a lot.
Great. So I have to say that before I roll or after I roll?
You just describe the obstacle and say who is championed and who is troubled, and then everybody rolls. Yeah.
Okay, so I think the obstacle would be the lava rocks, because that is not something the tuk-tuks are really made for, you know. And I think, obviously the -1's going to go to Timuk, and the champion, maybe because Julia is technically closer, because she was slightly on the bottom of the hill or of the mountain, so Julia will be the champion.
That sounds good. Okay, then everybody rolls 1d6, and Julia gets +1, and Timok gets -1. And I only rolled a 2. -1 is only 1. So I go 1 step backwards.
I go 1 step back. Damn. I rolled a 1.
I rolled a 1, but I got +1, so I stay where I am.
Ooh.
I am moving forward.
Yay.
Yay. So then I would like to hear from Julia why it was only a 1 you rolled +1. So why were you championed, but it still didn't go so well?
Well, I mean, I think I was like on the trail for a lot of it. So that helps, right? I could just keep going fast, and then as I went off the road, I still had the momentum, but my tech wasn't made for this like everybody else.
Yeah, not really. Yeah, so many rocks on the road. Amaya, why are you performing so well on lava rocks?
We're getting into the fantastical here when it comes to race time, right?
Yes, we do. Yes.
Okay. Well, I think that at this time, my spirit is sort of linked to my tuk-tuk, and it's actually seems to be defying gravity in some ways. You know, my spirits are raised and buoyed, and I'm sort of like making these big leaps off of these rocks, and I seem to just slowly float down to meet the ground again. So I'm able to kind of bunny hop over some of these rocks to get closer to Marta.
Magical bunny, yes. So it's up to you to describe our next obstacle.
Oh, yes. So I believe that the volcano is angry because the ritual was incomplete. And it is expressing its anger with an eruption.
Ooh.
So I think the first signs of that are going to be large flaming boulders that are like launching out of the mouth of the volcano and sort of rolling down the sides.
Who is a champion and who is troubled with this?
Yeah, I want to champion Julia again because she is coming from the bottom, and so she can actually see them coming and and skirt around them, whereas we're sort of worried about them coming behind us and having to look back and forward at the same time. And I think that, again, Timok is the one who's closest to these boulders because he and Alejandro are lagging behind. So they're dealing with them first. So they're troubled.
Sure. Alla grande. Then everybody rolls 1d6. The champion player gets +1 and Timok -1. And Amaya is alone in the lead. So you have the highest flow in the lead. So for you, it's -2, unfortunately, because you need to face them first. Your own obstacle.
I'm going backwards.
I got a 5. Go up 1. Yay.
Yeah, I got a 1 again.
And I got a no, I got a 1 again. Fortunately, I can't go any further back, so I stay at 0. Okay, this time, Mina, can you tell us how you pass by flaming boulders or how you don't?
So yeah, so just when Mina got a handle of like the rockiness of the lava of the lava rocks and everything, all of a sudden she sees like a flaming boulder pass by, and that just really freaks her out because that's not something you see every day. So she actually had to stop, like she skidded to a stop for a second, like holy shit, and so that's why she fell backwards because she had to get her bearings. Like she's used to a lot of things, but this is not it, and that's why she trailed back. But then she revs up again because she's planning to like, I'm going to see this through.
All right, then Julia. What makes you such a great driver again?
I think I just wasn't near the volcano, which was very bright, so my eyes have adjusted to the dark, and I can just see a lot better, right? I'm not looking at these giant flaming boulders necessarily, whereas they wouldn't be able to see as well because they were used to this brighter environment. Maybe that's too boring.
No, because I mean, you need these eyes to see the next obstacle, right? Because you give us an obstacle now. Do you have an idea?
I was thinking the same thing using the darkness.
Is the
Yeah,
smoke covering over the moonlight or something?
well, it's not just smoke and dark. It's also raining and windy, and yeah. So I think we're just like starting to see like starlight in the darkness, right? Like we're not even sure like which way is up or down. Even it's just very disorienting.
Oh, just like a wormhole through the universe. Yes, yeah, with all the smoke and the wind and the rain. Lead to darkness. Who is championed here?
Hmm. Good question. Who would be good at this? Maybe Amaya, because she's like the pilot, right? That would make sense. She like studied this kind of thing.
Sounds good. And who's troubled?
We'll do Timok.
There we go, for sure. Yeah, that's part of the fun. There we go. Then pick your dice. Nobody is alone in the lead, so no -2 to anybody. And so there we go.
I got a 6. I get to go up 1. Yay!
Yeah.
I got a 3, so I stay.
I have a 3 only because I got the -1 again. Yeah, very clever strategic decisions in this game. Yeah, I like it. Cool. Okay. So now I would like to know from Mina, how are you catching up in the darkness, in the total dark?
Well, Rita's used to working in the dark, so she's able to see a little bit better, and she like comes up to the top of the mountain a lot anyways, like at nighttime, like usually after like a short climb or something. So it almost seems like she has like cat eyes. Like everything seems, especially with all the flaming boulders, everything kind of glows. And so that gives her a bit more confidence that she can see like the obstacles a little bit better. So that's why she's catching up more.
All right, that sounds good. And so finally, I want to know, Amaya, you are alone in the lead again. How comes?
So I think that the three of us are sort of working together to try to triangulate onto Marta, and I think that I sort of have like this like pilot's like headset and microphone on, and I'm like it's like talking to air traffic control sort of thing. I'm getting input from Mina and from Julia, even though we're in this very disorienting space, like we're sort of able to work together. But I think that I'm sort of receiving all this info and getting closer first.
Which is good because we are close to the finishing line, which means Marta is on the road. And Timok is speeding up. And Timok wants to pass by all of you to get her because he sees that you are coming and getting closer. And he wants the girl. He wants it. And we are now already in the streets, and people are on the street because they saw the lava eruptions from the volcano and the smoke cloud in the street. So there's a mass panic, and Timok doesn't care to ride over some people, but I assume you do. The power for sure is out. It's total chaos on the streets. Chicken and street dogs and everything is out, which can be out. So the streets are crowded with people screaming and running around. And the question is, how do you get through there without riding over anybody or destroying your tuk-tuk? We are at the final stage of the race, which means you now need to pick your speed. And You do that in secret, and we reveal the speed at the same time. And the highest speed wins the race. However, maybe you were too fast and your tuk-tuk crashed. And we see if you made it over the finishing line at all by rolling 2d6 plus your flow, which is in our Julia's case +2, Amaya +3, Mina +1, and Timok +0. If you roll equal or higher than your speed, then you make it. Otherwise, your tuk-tuk crashed. Does that make sense? So if you put speed 10, you need to beat a 10 afterwards. If 10 was the highest number written down by anybody, you won the race. Okay, we can use the chat here on the right and reveal it at the same time. I just need to copy paste from a notepad numbers and stuff, as you know.
The highest number that we can roll over.
You write the number you write in there is the speed you decided to go. So
and then we have to roll.
And then you need to roll over that number, equal or over that number, with 2d6 plus 2. So if you go for speed 10 and you fail to roll a 10, 2d6 plus 2, then you're out. And the next highest speed wins. Do you all have a number? Okay. Then 1, 2, 3, go. Okay. Everybody's very cautious. Nobody wants to run over people. I'm happy to hear that. What we have is you can enter the number now in the sheet. So I have an 8. But I see that others have an 8 too, but Amaya or Julia win the race if they manage to roll 9 or higher. So let's first go with the highest flow, because if Amaya makes it, Amaya is the winner of the race. 2d6 plus 3. Can you beat that? You rolled a 15. No.
I was joking about that's the speed I'm going to set all the way to 15, but
yes, you could do.
Did
you roll it?
Rolled an 11.
You made it. That means we have a winner. We still want to know if the others crashed or not. So I need to roll 2d6 plus 0 to beat an 8, and Mina needs to roll 2d6 plus 1 to beat an 8. But we already have a winner, and you can enter your name there, Amaya, and think about how you finish this night, because your tuk-tuk is the fastest.
I rolled a 10. So I get second place.
You got second place, yes.
But second place doesn't count for anything.
I unfortunately crashed my tuk-tuk because I rolled a 7.
And I rolled a 6. I crash as well with Timok.
I pull a Marcus and just like sorry. And zipping around the people and just like go fuck it and just like crash right into Timok.
Timok is like,
because I see Alejandro and I'm like, oh, I see like.
And Alejandro climbs out of the tuk-tuk and over to you, and it's like a wild cat ready to grab you and like getting to shake your tuk-tuk as much as he can. Yeah, but that for later. So Julia, you also make it without driving over people, but why? What that slowed you down that much? That's why you only have speed 9, because you were cautious. Sounds about right.
Yeah, I wonder if I ran into the other delivery drivers. Like I'm driving by and they think like something's happening, so they start to go after me.
Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, there's
wave them off.
Diego's delivery service. Yeah, is back. And Amaya, you made it first. how do you catch Marta? How does it look like? What do you tell us about how this night ends?
So I think that that Julia and I are still coming from opposite directions, and Marta's sort of in between us. And I think that we sort of lock eyes in our tuk-tuk. But I really want to show Julia that I've sort of had this like change of heart, and I'm no longer interested in this plane being a selfish vehicle, that I want my creation to benefit the people in our community as well. And so I'm going to prove that by like picking up Marta and saving her, and like this is me showing my dedication to especially the women in our community. So I think we have that moment where we lock eyes, and then vroom, I rev up that engine and sort of slalom my way through the townspeople and the chickens and the goats, and kind of swoop, like I reach out and swoop Marta up into my tuk-tuk and kind of skid around a corner.
Oh, yeah.
Out of sight of the villainous Timok.
Absolutely. So, what has actually happened to Marta, and what do you make out of it? You won the race. You have complete narrative control for making this the outcome you want it to be in your character's favor.
Yeah, well, you know, I'm not exactly sure what a purity ritual would look like. And I want to keep in mind, as far as like what Marta's gone through, I think it's terrible. But I'd rather not like go into details, you know, be with you all explicitly what happened to her, right? But I think we see the signs of trauma, and she expresses, you know, like Alejandro and Timok were behind this. But I think that she more shares about like what they were trying to accomplish, right? And I think that, you know, she expresses that in their mind, purity means like subservience, and, you know, sort of mimicking the words of the priest earlier. But, you know, I think that the description is a bit more in line with the sort of shamanistic methods of Timok, as opposed to the evangelical description that the priest had. But the through line is that they both want the same thing.
Yeah. It's quite structural oppression.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I see a division in town, which comes with this, about Alejandro. And the conservative side is still supporting him, but there's a growing movement and sentiment in town which says that he shouldn't be chief editor anymore for the local radio station. Maybe somebody is here and can make use of this sentiment and leading it to the right channel. We have one last scene in this act before the act is over, and that is Escher's scene on the airfield on the next day. And Amaya has just revealed that the airplane is much more than just a vehicle. Is that scene still interesting to you? Do you want to play it? The two of you? Maybe it's not just about advertisement any longer, what you want to put on there.
Right. What would be interesting here? Do we learn anything about the about this ritual?
So far we have like covered the details, so we don't know. But I think it's just because we didn't want to expose Marta. But it could be abstract in an abstract way still be progressed. Before I forget it, everybody gets an unforgettable because you joined the tuk-tuk race. Don't forget to pick one and use it whenever you pick dice.
So, to be clear, now that we have this unforgettable, do we still describe the experience, or are you saying we have a blank one ready to be used to sort of cash in that chip at any time?
You have a token which you can cash in. Yeah.
So we don't, like, for any other experience?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
You gain the currency.
Yeah, maybe it's just a scene of us preparing the airplane, right? Like cleaning it and getting ready to go. So that this like next final scene can be us flying and just talking about what we want to do.
Sounds good.
Yeah, I wrote that the field was like an okra field, so maybe we have to like cut cut the okra so it's all clear for the plane. I imagine like the season's over because it's fall, but I'm sure there's still like lots of plant life left to get rid of. Yeah, and just like admiring the plane.
Yeah, and I think that it's just sort of like a quick montage of like hands sort of like brushing the exterior, and like we see the rotors start to spin up, and we see the flaps kind of do their thing, and you know that moment of takeoff from the field and the landing gear like slowly coming up into the plane. And then it's the two of us in the cockpit side by side, with our microphones, and I think we just kind of come up over the clouds, and for the first time we can kind of like see the town below us like in perfect clarity, and the lake and the mountain, and all of our problems seem so small from up here.
Wonderful. I see that Julia has influence over Amaya.
That's true.
So, Amaya, if you could express that influence somehow and then make a proposal to action or ask a question about their true self, or you do something different and pick the dice. That's up to you.
Maya?
Yeah, Julia, you have influence over Maya, I think. So you could
Maya do something to resolve it, or do I?
You can use that on me.
Yeah.
On the moves sheet, there's a move called Act on Influence.
Okay, act, not resolve. Yeah, so I'm interested in how you want to share this plane, right? You said you wanted to make it more open to the community. So what do you see that as?
So I think like after our sort of moment of silent awe, right, then there's still this silence sort of lingering. And from my eyes, you at that moment in the race, it was clear that I'd had this change of heart. But I think just from my like body language and posture, you can tell that there's some hesitation, that I don't really know how to move forward with this. Like my heart has changed, but I don't know how to direct my hands to go along with it. I think you may even see me like sort of like sneaking glances to the side, like looking at you, like. And I think to make this even more clear, I think that as the co-pilot, you also have like a control stick in front of you. And so if you wanted to kind of help guide this direction, you could take hold of that at any time. And could kind of describe that if you wanted to.
Sure. So I'm worried about like the environment we're in. There are a lot of people trying to misuse it, and I need help to protect it. And this is a great way to watch, right? Maybe I'll like tilt it down a little bit so you can get a better view of the city. And point out like how the ocean's changing and some of the trees are missing, right? So if you could help use this plane to like document the city or keep an eye on things, I think that would be very helpful.
I think it's a very strange feeling for me, to have the controls to my personal plane, my vision, my dream to like be co-opted here, and that feeling, it's like if you're holding the wheel of the steering wheel but then somebody else has their own, it must be very strange. So I think that I listened to that, and you're trying to get through to me and collaborate, and I think that I will like agree. Like I think I'll even get to the point where like I'll let go of the controls on my stick and let you sort of pilot the plane a little bit yourself.
A big moment for Amaya. Yeah. And now it's Julia's decision to say, I feel satisfied from what Amaya has done, and also give her influence over me. Julia, do you agree? Do you give influence back?
Yeah, I think the only way we could do this is together. So.
Cool. Then that's that was the final scene in our act, and we had a tuk-tuk race, and we have 30 minutes left, and I would invite you to think about like a final scene for your character in our next act. Then we make a short break and play our final scenes before we leave our characters behind us. So when you go to the act sheet, we move over to Act 4. And you could enter your quick idea, what you have in mind. Think about resolving influence, and then and who and where this could happen. And yeah, I would definitely like to see Alejandro in one of the last scenes if anybody has like a proposal for that. But I wouldn't mind from stepping back from having a scene. Diana, do you have an idea?
Almost. So he's currently jobless now, right? Because he's no longer part of the radio, or he's taking a lesser role.
It's not decided yet. So he has like it's a polarized town right now. So there are those who support him, and there's a growing sentiment after Smarta's story has come out to remove him from his position. But maybe it needs somebody to nudge him over the edge, if that makes sense.
Right. I'm kind of like debating between two ideas at the moment.
Jean Michael, if you have something, just you can already enter it. Michael, do you have something?
Yeah, it's something I was sort of brewing on. I mean, primarily I'm interested in resolving these relationships because I have mutual influence over with both of you. And so I'm thinking of a way to sort of bring the three of us together so I can resolve those simultaneously in one scene. So I'm thinking it's going to be like the establishment of a new business involving this plane, and having the two of you be partners in this enterprise. So I'm thinking of how this is like something that is now rooting me to this town, whereas before I wanted to be like flying away from this town, and now I'm sort of tethered here. So in terms of setting, something that kind of represents that, I was thinking like a very old tree or something, some part of this town that is like definitely like the anchor of the town. So either suggestions for what that place might be in this town, or either like functionally or metaphorically would be cool.
Yeah, there's the ancient rock in the city center on which a cross is built, but it was like a sacred stone already before Christianity came to town. Or would you prefer something living? Like,
Yeah, I mean, living is cool, like the heart, still beating. But definitely just something uniquely Santiago, and also like a central place, So like if the stone is like representative, but people don't really bother to go there, it might not be as interesting. But if it is a place that people meet at and hang around, like a fountain in Rome or Italy or something, like that's cool
it's
too.
very important. Yeah, it's a very important stone.
Cool. Let's meet at the stone.
Cool. For Julia, I was thinking about if the lava rapido is something you would like to finally establish, with including the Save the Lake.
Yeah, but I have influence on Mina, so I'm trying to figure out how to involve that. Yeah, so I was thinking about doing something with the radio.
Taking over the radio. Yeah. It should be possible.
That can work, because I was thinking of Mina kind of going a little dark.
Yeah.
And getting some blackmail material on Alejandro. So that could be connected.
I think the Love on Radio would work because we're setting up this indoor place to watch clothes. So maybe that could act as your union, right? Yeah, it's kind of a place out of people's eyes, so you can meet there or something.
Right. The washing place would give it more. What's sort of looking for? Sorry. Legitimacy. That's the word I was looking for. Because her worry before was that like having like a sex workers union wouldn't be very like legitimate. Like maybe having a washer union type of thing might work better under the guise of that.
Oh yes, yeah.
So yeah, that could definitely work, and we'll have a lot more influence to take over the radio with.
Cool. That sounds good.
But yeah, so my kind of since in Amaya's will be resolving the relationship stuff, I don't have to worry too much with that. Mina, because of like the previous betrayals and everything, and having this dude like be all up in her face almost all the time, she confronts Alejandro with a tape of her own that one of her coworkers have obtained of him cheating with his wife.
Yes. Yeah.
And that
That's for sure.
leads to him having to like having to agree with her, because and that will also lead into taking over the radio with Mina or with Julia.
Sounds good. Who is in that scene?
It would be, I think, Mina and Alejandro. I don't know if anyone.
I'm getting prepared for that. Sounds good.
I mean, yeah, if Marcus or Pedro was around, she would probably have them as backup, kind of thing. But she doesn't want to bring Julia in it, so to keep Julia like clear and innocent from this whole thing, and then her feelings with Amaya, she doesn't want Amaya to get in trouble either. So yeah, I think it's just the two of them, and I think it would be at the cantina.
Wow. Okay.
Because
Yeah.
there's enough witnesses that he can't do anything, so that's her protection.
Wow. Cool. Michael, do you feel comfortable with the new business idea? You have something in mind for that meeting? Because you will be in the lead, right, for that?
So, yeah, as far as how the plane figures into this. Is that
All right. Sounds good. I am just saying, and the order of the scenes, I would say the confrontation with Alejandro can go first. Is it okay? And then we take over the radio, and finally we end with the new business idea, so that you have like a dream vision together.
So it ends on a positive note.
Yes.
Let's hope so. Yeah. So we take a 2 minutes break. 35. We see each other again. Is that
Yeah.
enough? Yeah. If you're a little bit late, it's all right. See you. Asher has dropped off, but I think they are coming back. But yeah, we can still wait for a minute if that is okay.
I mean, they were using like outside Wi-Fi, right? It seemed like.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm surprised they lasted so long as they did.
I hope it's not the battery.
Oh, hopefully not. Yeah.
First scene is without Asher anyway. So if you don't mind, we could go into the cantina now.
Okay.
Are you all right with
Maybe
that?
send Asher a quick message.
Yeah,
Yeah, we could do the cantina scene.
yeah. Asher seems to be offline.
I gotta find my tab again.
Yeah.
I have currently 60 tabs open. I'm doing a lot of multitasking right now.
Yeah. Okay, but I need to go to the cantina now.
Yes.
Oh. There's loud music, like really, really loud music, and it's Ángeles Azules, which are currently running with cumbia. And so loud that we can scream at each other and still people on the street can't hear us, which is good, like for privacy. So you
Right.
can get full emotional and still nobody will know afterwards. Isn't that great? What a fantastic idea for a business conference. Yeah.
So Mina she's dressed up in kind of like a business suit, but like something like Black Widow would wear, like very sexy, like drawing attention kind of business suit. This is probably the most like Western she looks, because usually she does like to use like like textiles from town and everything in general in her wear. But yeah, she feels like this way should be more authoritative.
Yeah.
And
Alejandro tries to top that. He has his traditional clothings on, the scarf, the man short trousers with lots of decorations on it. Decorations from the 70s, as when he was younger, were still hot. And a a very big pass that is the belt, which sometimes looks like a dildo between your legs. It probably has such a meaning somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so he's like with a cowboy hat on and a proper sombrero. And he holds his beer can.
Mm-hmm.
And
She
like, you!
and she's a little scared, but just a little bit because she's not used to. She's usually not used to being this forceful against another dude because she's smart. But she still has like a very like smirk on her face, and she walks like straight to him, takes his beer can, gives it a sniff, realizes it's like cheap ass beer, sets it aside. We have business.
You just took my beer out of my hand?
Well, I know men can only be focused on one thing, and I wanted to make sure you weren't distracted.
I am distracted, and you are the reason. My whole life seems to be distracted from the path it was supposed to go when you started to rumble around here. It's time that I row you over the lake.
You wish you could. And Rita pulls from her back pocket like a little tablet, like the Galaxy Smart tablet, so it's only like about that big. And she already had it all set up because she psyched herself up. And knowing that anyone could walk by and see this, but she doesn't care, she presses play because it is so loud that maybe it's like, see, we offer protections in our business.
What do you...
This does not look like your wife.
Well, but that is for sure not me. I mean, it's a similar voice, I admit, but it's not me on this tape.
And
This
at that
can't be.
and at that moment, the other woman like says his name like so loudly and clearly that even like the bartender's like, "Huh?" but is distracted. I mean, I could show this to your wife. I'm sure your wife knows you intimately. She'd be able to tell the difference if it's not you. I mean, if it's not you, it's not you. You don't like it when other people record you, huh?
Mina, this is not a game. Do you try to play me? I'm a family father. Do you want to destroy my family?
And she pauses it and she sets it on the counter, but close to her. But it still shows. Well, it's probably a little bit like fuzzy right now, but like to ensure that he knows that she means business. You're a family man who condemns what me and my sisters do on the radio, and yet you partake.
For good reason, as you can see.
You can't have it both ways. You can't eat the pan dulce at the same time of condemning it, claiming you're on a diet. And
I can have it both way, but your way is the wrong way, and I will show you how to properly behave right now here at the cantina.
Is that what you did to Martha?
Don't bring that again on the table. I think I want to see the dice, how well that goes for you. Because I feel like Alejandro has to make a decision, and I think whatever decision he takes, it's not good for him, but let's see how bad it is for you.
So would this be carve the way? Or...
It could be. It could be that we just say none of the... We always hope that we can make it one of the other moves, but if we just see it doesn't fit the others, then you still have the option to go carve the way. But actually, I would love to have this fit in, because actually what you do is like showing that he doesn't fit in anymore, that society has moved beyond his type. That would be so great. If you roll well on that, we could go so far that we could resolve influence afterwards directly with him.
And I think she's going to use an unforgettable of cool.
Yes.
She's acting very coolly.
Perfect.
What's
your stat in Fey?
2. That's my highest
Wonderful.
stat. So,
Wonderful.
yeah, cool works. I just wanted to make sure there was no emotions. All right. Come on, dice.
Come on, dice. Yes.
9, 10, 11.
Ooh, wonderful. So you can pick 2. And if the 2 you're picking is that you get influence over them, but also they get influence over you, because your difference is obvious, for example, it would mean that you immediately both have influence over each other, and you could resolve that. So because it's the end of the story, we could make it all in one scene, or in the next scene, because we will see Alejandro again, right? When you go to the radio, then you can resolve that, and that would be wonderful. Like from the roots interpretation.
I'm just double checking.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll do that so that we both have influence over each other. And
so you addressed well what is expected from you.
Mm-hmm.
And your counterpart will consider, and your difference is obvious.
Yeah, so
when he's trying like to intimidate you, like physically, just by his appearance, there's so many people staring in the cantina in his direction.
Yeah, and I kind of act, since I dress sensibly this time, well, sensible for me and everything, and I kind of play a little into like I'm just, a woman kind of thing, because that's what most of this cantina people are, so they get a little defensive. And I'm gonna take that a little bit from watching the second season, episode 1 of Punisher, where Punisher was like, "Oh, well, if you were a guy, I wouldn't have paid attention, but you're a girl, and I felt old-fashioned in having to protect you," kind of thing. So it's like, and like suddenly, like, make sure my hand's over the phone or the tablet, so that it can't be seen what's on there, and I have close to ensure that he doesn't try to take it, and just still stare at him like, I'm just here. Like, you're the one that's getting angry and emotional. And I could easily delete this, but you have to give up the radio.
And Alejandro is so infuriated, and you see foam on his mouth. And still he stays behind his table, and it's just like grabbing the table, and you can see the scratches in the table. And people next time who come in there will say, you know where these scratches are coming from? That was a certain conversation our Alejandro had with Mina. But here, he gives it. You totally make him stepping back from the radio, which brings us to the next scene. Julia, good to have you back.
Yay!
Yeah. Since we were running out of time, I hope you didn't mind that we already did the first scene.
That's okay. I was here for most of it.
Yeah, and we could, if you don't mind, making this scene very tight because of us running out of time. I think in the radio,
if it's okay with you guys, I'm fine going a little over. Like,
for me, that would be fine.
Yeah.
15 minutes is that something? Okay, just in case, yeah.
That way we end well.
Yeah, for the at the radio, which part do you find most interesting? When you conquer the radio, when you're doing the show together, or when it's all done and celebrating victory together? Because I think it's about resolving the influence you have with each other, right? Asher, that's your call. Which part would you like to see?
Was mine the radio? I thought we were doing the union first meeting.
Ah, okay, yeah. Ah, you're just meeting before you take over the radio? Or did I
Sure.
completely get that wrong? Yeah.
I don't remember about the radio, so.
I think it was.
okay.
I think it was a mix of both. Of like, but the radio we can also do in Michael's
Right.
scene too. So yeah, it could be
Mhm.
the union, talking about the union.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I mixed it up. Yeah, sometimes it's also my English that I mix things up. Union founding. That sounds good. Where do you meet?
In this indoor lavandaria.
Cool. Yeah, between washing machines.
Like after it closes or something, maybe. Then they can have a place that's secure and indoors.
Yeah,
And
I think it's still Mina in that same outfit, because I think it's maybe like an hour or so after, or a few hours after her conversation with Alejandro, so she's like all ramped up and everything. And I think actually, yeah, I think Mina would have like because she's so excited, and like Julia's the first one that she sees that she trusts. Since the confrontation, she completely like tells everything, like, "Oh, it was excellent! It was so fantastic!"
I'm happy it's working out for you. Yeah, I think Julia just like showered and has like new clothes on right after a hard day's work. And so she's excited to get this thing going. She probably made like a little itinerary to make sure that we know what we're doing. Did you like recruit people for this? Or do we still have to find union people, recruit people into the union?
I think there's a good excitement by now, right, in town?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, my other work like co-employees, they're all for this, especially since we got one up on Alejandro. Ugh. So you have that, and I'm sure we could get some more people who are tired of having to do all the washing of their families and rather come here. But I mean, you seem to have a really good business plan, much smarter than I would have proposed.
So yeah, I'm trying to think. Like, I think this is acting on the influence. So, what do I want to know about your true self?
Well, you could. However, I mean, you already have influence over each other.
Oh, that's true.
So, actually, what I'm hoping for is that you can resolve the influence you have, and that can happen in many different ways. Yeah, just what you described. When you feel like that the influence you have over each other is not what defines your friendship, for example.
Could you do both? Could you act on the influence and then resolve it, or is it only one or the other?
You can for sure do both.
So yeah, that's an option if you want to do that.
Yeah. So if you want to propose some action or ask a question about her true self first, feel free to do so.
I'm double checking. And we both can act on each other, right?
Yeah, you're on that stage. Yeah, that you have that option.
So I think with Mina, at the very least, she'd want to know like more about Julia. So it'd be to ask them a question about their true self. So I think beyond saving the lake, like what's your future goal here? Like if we manage to do this, what's next? Beyond keeping, of course, the laundromat like successful.
What's next? I mean, those are big goals, right? Like I could keep this laundromat successful for my whole life. I don't know that that's that there's like an end goal there, you know. Yeah, so my big thing is just to join the community and become more a part of it instead of trying to change people and get this backlash. You know, whenever people's hearts.
That's a good goal. I've realized that you sometimes have to act the way they want you to act to make any changes. But I'm still going to be me, and I'm still going to try to get them to think differently, or at least try to think differently. But yeah. I mean, I like it here enough. I could have run away.
I'll ask you the same thing. Like, if you get this union, what do you intend to do with it? How do you see this going?
Well, I want to make sure everyone's protected. I want to make sure we still have the ability to help other people who aren't, straight acting and everything. I want them to have a safe space, and I want people to realize we could still have tradition and new stuff at the same time. I mean, I know for a while Amaya wanted to leave. I don't know if she still believes that. Or like I said, I could have ran away. I could have gone off with one of these Americans, pretended to agree to their lofty wishes of being their housewife, and then just find someone else in America. But where's the fun in that? I like it here. I like my tuk-tuk once I repair it again.
Yeah, I think a lot of that is the problem. Like all this Christianity that came in, right? The native people are a lot freer about these sorts of things.
And I think we have to keep reminding them of that. Is that, I mean, we're all allowed to believe what we believe as long as we don't harm other people. And that's what Alejandro was doing. He was harming other people. And yet he was a hypocrite. She mutters that under her breath, and swears a lot in both Spanish and in the native language.
Yeah, he was teaching. He was teaching the.
Is that a bird? That noise? Is that a bird?
I think the wind caught you there real quick, Asher.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's a lot. Oh, that sounds like the spirits of the lake are coming for you. That was intense.
But yeah, to resolve, I think I'd want to draw something on the tuk-tuk.
Yeah. So you resolve influence over each other. That's my feeling now with the final part of the conversation. Are you okay with that?
That sounds good.
Ooh. Oh, there's still this noise coming from you, Asher. And yeah, and you can draw something on your tuk-tuk, like representing this resolution of your relationship, how your relationship was brought to a new dimension. And if you don't mind, we move over to the final scene where the three of you are together. Is that good?
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. So there we are at the Tjosh Abach, the sacred stone. Once a place to worship the Mayan gods, and then a place where the cross was built. But the interesting thing with the cross is that already the Olmecs, the people who lived in Central America before the Mayans, long before, had as a sacred symbol a cross, or something which we take as a cross still. However, it is a tree. It's the tree of life. Because they believe that the gods built a tree and all inhabitants on earth fell as fruits from it. Well, there are many, many stories, but that is at least one of the stories. And the Mayans continued this belief in a cross. So when the Christians came, for some, they said that actually this is just the symbol of the tree of life. So they had an easy time adopting it and bringing it into their beliefs they had. So we are meeting in this cross, which has transformed its meaning, and it seems that the three of you plan to transform something as well, a meaning of something in town. Amaya, do you have a plan?
Yes, I do. So what I have proposed to you, we're kind of, the scene is after the proposal, I think, is Julia had sort of talked about maybe putting like cameras on this plane, and it's going to become sort of like a weather plane, and like it's got like footage of the ground, almost like what like a news helicopter would be like, in another place. That this plane is going to be sort of the eye in the sky, and I think there had been some connection with the radio. So I think that this is sort of like connected to the radio service in some way, right? So basically, yeah, I think what I explained to you all is that I had always hoped that being in the plane would offer me a different perspective. But the perspective it's given me is that, like, I want to be more connected to my hometown. I do want to be anchored here, and I think that you've all shown me. I think I would say to like Tamina, like your beauty and like the beauty of this place. I would say that to I'm already forgetting names, to Julia. You've shown me the beauty of these people, and you've shown me the beauty of this place, and even though there are dark times ahead, maybe we can get through this together. Will you like partner with me?
Of course. Yeah, I want to make this community the best it can be also. You can't do that by leaving.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad you're deciding to stay now that you have your plane taking off and everything. And yeah, I think we could do a lot more together, better than some of the men in these town.
Absolutely. I feel like that with Julia got the steering wheel from the cockpit into her hand, and now she's somehow handing it back to Amaya. That's a lovely way to resolve influence between the two of them, I would say. And for Mina, do you also feel like this is resolving your influence?
Yeah, like
Amaya?
I think with Amaya, like, because I think she always thought, once Amaya gets the plane ready and everything, and when she has a taste of the skies, she'll be ready to like just head out, like all the other tourists and everything, which is fine. Like everyone's allowed to do what they want. So she wasn't so what's the word I'm looking for? I guess attached like, because she doesn't know how to do attachment very well, and but even though they had an interrupted ritual, she's staying, and they're doing this whole thing and trying to help everybody else, and she really loves that about Amaya. So yeah, I think it gets resolved. And she did that by putting a very cutesy sticker on Amaya's tuk-tuk.
Wow, wonderful. So who hasn't resolved influence yet? What you do is you erase 2 of your truths and you write a new one. It can be just one of the ones you erased. You can think about what actually has happened. You can combine the truths you already had before or find an antithesis. So that's up to you. The truths you cross out just don't mean that much to you anymore. You could still consider this as a part of your identity, but the new truth is something which is now describing better where your character has ended. If we had a little bit of more time, we would also resolve the influence with Alejandro. And what would mean that to Mina is that she would have reached a final truth. And for final truth, which means it's the end of the character arc, you can stop playing your character at the end of the act, and you can actually make a roll to see how your epilogue goes, how well your future is defined. And the others haven't reached that yet, but I would say let's all still make the end of your how do I call it? The end of your the live your life move. So for your live your life move, are you okay with rolling that together? Is that fine to end our stories?
Yeah.
Okay. So what you do is you check how many influences you have with others which are not resolved yet, and that is the penalty on your roll you have. Then you look how many unforgettables you have used. That is your bonus on your roll. So you add your bonus and your penalty together, and then you get a number, something like +1 maybe, or 0, or +2. And I would say Mina can consider the influence with Alejandro as being resolved as well for that. And for the others, it should be +1 or +2, right? Then you roll 2d6 plus that bonus. And the higher you roll, the better. So on a 10+, you have reached something you have wished for. On a 7 to 9, you are adequately equipped for a life on your own. On a miss, you might not be as ready as you thought. Continue playing your character or let them ending up in those ties they try to escape. Do you have dice, or can I help you with rolling for you? Or
Yeah, I'll roll in a second. I'm just finishing up the truth part.
yeah.
Are we all rolling, or is it just?
Yeah, you can also roll. So for you, it should be you resolve the influence with 2 others. So you have no influence, no negative influence, and you used. Did you use an unforgettable? You didn't, right?
No.
Then you just roll with +0. And for Amaya, you used 1 unforgettable, which means +1. And you don't have any unresolved influence, so you roll with +1. And Mina used 2 unforgettables, but she has 1 unresolved influence, which means she rolls also just with +1.
Okay.
So I rolled a 4.
Oh no, Julia. This is like the
Not very
cycle
good
is
at living.
complete. You are not there yet. So for a 4, it means you might not be as ready as you thought. Continue playing your character or let them ending up in those ties they tried to escape. So as with last time, we see maybe Julia continue to appear as a star guest in our sessions, and she's still in Santiago and waiting to have a happy ending forever after. Yeah. And Amaya has an 8. You are adequately equipped for life on your own. Does that sound good? Do you feel that adequate?
Works for me.
Yeah.
I rolled an 11.
You have reached something you have wished for. What is it? So you're more than adequately equipped.
I think with everything that's happened, she has a bit of authority in the town that she didn't have before. That her profession, it's still looked down upon, but she has a say now, especially with the union and the other girls.
Cool. So you either will be elected into the office in the municipal council, or you will be murdered.
Yay!
Depending how angry, powerful people are in what you're doing. Well, yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, thank you for playing and for being with me. Do you have anything you would like to add for your character, or are you happy with that ending too? All good? Cool.
I think I'm good. Yeah.
Cool. All right. And thank you for playing Atitlan Riders. I stop the broadcasting now. If you want to stay with me for a moment, then I'm happy, but you don't have to. Just saying goodbye to your characters. Goodbye, Julia. That was a pleasure to see you again.
Yes, it was fun playing with you.
Goodbye,
Yeah,
Mina.
thanks for having
Mina, I will miss you, Mina. And when I walk through town, I will definitely see you as well. And
Awesome.
goodbye, Amaya. Amaya, next time I see a plane on the sky, I know that you are sitting in there.
Yes.
Good to have you.